Good evening, everybody, and welcome to you all. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Those of you who don't know me, I'm Karen Frey, and you are watching All Talk Paranormal Show. This evening, my co-host is Mr. Gary Fields.
Good evening, young lady.
Hello.
Hello to you.
You all right?
Yep, splendid, fantastic week, and looking forward to another amazing week coming ahead.
Okay, and are you looking forward to our guest this evening? Because I know I am.
Oh yeah, I'm very excited, and all I will say is bring it on as quick as you can.
That's told me.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you all for joining us, everyone. Okay. And this evening's guest is Shanna Maria. Hello.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Good. You're very welcome.
Mm-hmm.
So briefly, we got lots of questions for you. I know Gary has. He's got a whole list going on. So for here in the UK, anyone doesn't know who you are. Where are you based to begin with? Do a little bit of background.
I live in Minnesota, in St. Paul, Minnesota. So I'm a Midwest girl.
Okay. And it's okay. I've just getting the comments and everything. Sorry. So this evening, I've got, well, I don't know where to start. Gary, I'll let you start because I know otherwise we'll be here for 3 hours because I know Gary's got quite a few questions for you.
Oh, yeah. Very, very excited and good evening and welcome along this evening. Psychic medium, as a medium myself, it just blows your mind away with communication and being in and around the power. How have you found it within yourself over the years and from where you are then to where you are today? How do you find yourself of dealing with all this?
Ooh, that's a good question. That's a good question. It's been a lifelong lifelong journey for me. So I was born with these gifts. My medium is the strongest gift, I believe. So I was born psychic medium. I've had these gifts all my life. I've really had to, in the beginning part of my life, I feared this. I was having experiences that a lot of my friends or peers weren't having, even family members. So, and none of these, we never had these conversations when we were younger, right? Like this stuff was not talked about. So yeah, I had a grandmother that would say, what you're hearing and seeing isn't happening. And so I was, so my gifts were so squashed in a lot of ways, and I feared them. I feared what was happening because I couldn't explain it. At a very young age, I would have spirits come to me, especially in my bedroom. I was there a lot. My bedroom was my sanctuary, and I would have, visits very often. Or I would predict when people would pass, like family members. Eventually they're like, stop telling us. But all these things that were happening through my life that I couldn't explain. And I really struggled with this. I really did, because I didn't understand it. I didn't understand what was happening because no one else was talking about it then. That's why now having these platforms and meeting people like you is just like, yes, you don't feel so alone, right?
So yeah, it's true. So when did you find someone to talk to about it and learning about it, and how did you get started in the first place?
Okay, so to start here, we got to go here. So in 2010, I experienced a medical issue, and I had a near-death experience. Previously, before then, I was in a marriage and I was really contemplating divorce. And so I had asked, give me a sign on what to do. Well, boom, I had this big medical thing that happened, and I was rushed into emergency and had emergency surgery. And when I was under, I died on the table for about a minute and a half. So that I say was like active, it like shook me to awoke me. I came back bearing gifts. That that moment, I didn't realize at the time, but it activated my gifts. So the gifts that I spent my life running from and hiding from and not publicly sharing was now activated big time. And I could no longer deny, or even I could no longer run from it. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
So that first year, that whole experience was really powerful to me. Can I just briefly share that experience?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So when I was under, I found myself walking with God. I had one of these come to God moments, but I found myself with God, and I was in a field, and in the field there was a dirt road, and there was a left, and it said, you can go to the life that you already know, or you can take a right to the unknown. And back then for me, the unknown was really scary. But something happened. When I woke up, like I said, something was telling me that I need to take that right. And I did. I went through a major divorce, and all these big life changing moments happened. But it wasn't until, let's see, that was probably, I'm trying to think of timeline. That doesn't matter. But shortly after that, I'm going through a divorce, and how I met I call her my earth angel, Vaughn. How I met my mentor was a friend of mine actually lived in a haunted mansion, and she was part of Minneapolis Paranormal Society. And at that time, I did not want to open these doors. I was still at that point where, like, I don't want to open these doors. But they were open. And I ended up meeting others, but I ended up meeting my mentor, which changed my life forever in so many ways. She not just sat me down in a classroom, she had me actually experience my gifts and practice them, you know, on different locations and whatnot. She was my savings grace, because now I'm at a point where, okay, what is happening is really happening. My experiences throughout my whole life, you know, were really happening. I felt very validated. And with that, you know, came, I never thought I'd be working as a psychic medium. Let's just put it that way. So my whole life, you know, all these stages has been really, really funny how I got here in the way. I like to say I'm the accidental medium. And so really I've spent the last decade training and mastering and learning my own gifts, but no longer fear. I no longer fear, and I no longer feel like ashamed of having these things. You know, the psychic medium part, these things are very real. And my experiences throughout my whole life, like I felt like meeting her, like really took all my life experiences and it was like, okay, this is really happening. Now what do I do with this? Sorry, the little short version.
That's all right. No, tonight we're talking about you. That's why we're here. We're talking about you, to get to know you, to find out about you. So awesome. Feel free. It's fine. We've already got a question. Tasha wants to know, did your gift get stronger after having your children?
Yes, by far they did. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Once again, I was at that stage where I always had these experiences, but I kept them to myself. Once I had my first daughter, it activated even more. So the things that I once saw, I came to a point where I wasn't seeing things anymore because I, you know, squashed them. But once I had my daughter, I started seeing things again. So yes.
In respect there, fantastic answering the first question as well. When you was shown them the road from like left to right and the light and the unknown path, when you came back around from that experience, do you think it was like heightened tenfold or 20-fold? Really, the amount it was heightened that's quite a lot to take on board.
It was so overwhelming. I thought I was going crazy. I thought, you know, am I having a breakdown? You know, what the heck is happening? I thought I was going crazy. I really did.
Wow.
But I realized I'm not crazy. I'm gifted. You know, that's a saying I say. You're not crazy. You're gifted.
As again, now that obviously me and Karen, as we're going along our path and journey within the UK, at some point as well, I've seen young children there as well, and I've helped them along with their development. And A lot of people do struggle, where you mentioned at the start of it, with taking on board of what you're seeing as a children, as an under 18 person, as a young person. And I think now is where we're on with this platform. I think that we can help bring a lot of this forwards for the understanding and nurture these people through. And this is what we're trying to reach out for and help all these people where, we understand. Do you know what I mean? Come and talk to us, come and ask us the questions. So I know you do development yourself.
Yes.
So again, I do feel that the time is right for a lot of younger people to come forward and work with us and communicate with us. So in your field as development, have you had a lot of any youngsters that's come forward or parents that's contacted you around that issue?
And especially this year. So with my mentor, her and I have actually done like psychic kids classes in groups, and amazing. I was born this way. Were you born this way too? Did you have experiences at a very young age?
Yeah.
So when you're born this way, it's scary. Like when you don't know what's going on, it's so scary. And I see so many youngsters that fall into, addictions or kind of a dark path, because it is a lot when you don't understand what is happening to you. There's so many different energies that you're dealing with. And when you can understand energy, right?
Yeah.
There's so much involved with this. And this is why I stepped up to mentor. I never thought in a million years that I would be mentoring on this stuff, let alone working as a psychic medium now. But I am, and it's happened. And why I started was because people were reaching out to me, asking me for help. I've given a lot of my services away for free, and I still will. If people come to me, they want to ask me a question, I'm not going to charge you for a question. I think it's so important, when you can find someone to talk about these things to.
Yeah.
And with the kids, it's my heart. I have 3 daughters myself, and I nurture their souls and I nurture their gifts as much as possible. But I also allow them, they have that free will. If that's something that they didn't want to explore, then they sure didn't have to. But they realize the value of your life. I mean, the quality of your life is so much more when you can learn and understand your spiritual gifts and abilities, and why I mentor on spiritual development. And I do work with youngsters. I work with all ages. It's so important.
Excellent.
We've got, I just want to try and get through the questions that are in the comments so we don't miss any. We've got, I've lost, she says, you scrolled up too quick. Have you met many of your spirit guides?
Yes, and they're always changing. Throughout this journey, they're always changing. It's like at different stages, come different spirit guides. In the beginning, it was very hard for me because I was like, I want to know who they are, like what do they look like, who it is. But when I was overthinking it, I was blocking my blessings. So now, as I'm a different place, I know one of my guides has been with me my whole life. And then now in my life, I have so many like new guides that step in. So different stages of growth, I have different guides that step in. But we all have a divine team that stand with us. Mm-hmm.
We've got you've answered that question already.
I've picked it off my next page now.
Picking off your next page now. Janice says, if you know something, but something tells you not to say anything, which I get a lot, do you know why?
Ooh, yeah, that's a good question. It really depends on what that is, right? Like, is it feeling? Okay, let me ask this. Is it a feeling of like you should tell someone or you shouldn't tell someone something? Like, oh, I found out that, let's say, a friend of mine's having an affair or something. I'm just putting that out there. Is it a feeling of should I say something or should I not?
Yeah.
And sometimes with that as well, that can backfire on you as well, can't it, if you're in that position? So it is always better to hold back, watch how things unfold. And
there's certain things.
There's always a time and a place.
Yeah. And with this gift, I've really, you have to be discerned, right? You really gotta, for me, when I get approached with something and it's like, do I say something or do I not? I will go within myself and I will ask questions. I ask a lot of questions to myself. I will ask a lot of questions. identify what that is, ask a lot of questions, and always trust your intuition. Your intuition is your bullshit meter. Sorry, swearing, but it's bullshit, built-in bullshit meter. If something doesn't feel right, don't do it. For me, if something doesn't, like, if there's information that I have, should I tell it or not? Ask a lot of questions. Go within yourself. Ask your guides, what you think. Go with your instincts or not. If not, if your answer is no, don't say anything. Sometimes we have this information, but we're not always meant to share. And that's the hard part about this gift.
People don't realize today, sometimes you get information given to you and you're reading for someone and you'll be given information, but not to share that information. And it's so difficult not to sometimes, even though it could be how can I put it? It can be something really important, but they're not meant to know.
Yeah. It's got to unfold and run its path, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So as we've all had that situation where family members or friends and then they've passed, it's like trying to hold on to that as a professional person.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stresses and strains on yourself with that situation and scenario. So you always ask your team for support. And again, it's all about your team at the right time in the right place as well. Have you had any readings where it's been too emotional or too strong, or how do you find within your readings when you have a reading, just generally your team, or are you seeing it yourself from the psychic part?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Went to click the wrong one there. Jessica wants to know, during a demonstration of mediumship, how do spirits manifest you? Can you see figures? Do you hear them? So she wants to know what type of medium you are. So which or all of the clairs do you use? Let's put it like that.
Oh my gosh, I don't know. Medium is my strong suit. I know now there's all these different kind of mediums out there. I'm not sure which one I am. I just know that I'm a medium. I've had these abilities my whole life. I can see, I feel, I sense. Some people's the energy that you bring with you, some people's energy stands out. Yeah, some people stands out, or energy stands out more so than others, right? So for me, a lot of times when I'm about to do a reading, I can physically see a person in my mind. I can physically see, or sometimes if I can't see, it really depends. But a lot of times I can physically see a person, or I just have, I can sense it, feel it. There's so many senses that come with this stuff. It really depends. Like colors, I'll see colors. Yeah. I'll see animals, stuff like that.
And I think it, like you said, it is the energy. It depends who you're working with and where you're working and so on. It's dependent. I don't always work the same.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm like you. I say medium, but I can't put myself in a box, because one day I'm this box, and this box, and another day I'm not any of those boxes. I'm the ones below instead. So like you said, it really depends on the situation, who you're talking to, what type of reading it is. It is difficult to say. For me personally, like you, I can't put myself in a box and say I am this type of medium, because today I might be, tomorrow I might not be.
So true. I love that you said that. So true. And we all work different. We all have these gifts, but each one of us work differently.
Yeah, most definitely. That's it. That's the other thing people don't understand, is that we all, like you said, we all work differently, and we all work in our own ways. And it doesn't matter what way you work. Like you said, everyone's an individual. Everyone's different. Don't ever go to two mediums. Let's say mediums then. Don't ever go to two mediums and expect them to work in the same way, because they won't.
Exactly.
So I think a lot of people expect that. They go to, I don't know, say you advertise medium, they think, okay, I'm going to come to you and this is what I'm expecting to get. And they might be disappointed because they get something completely different, or they might be elated because they get something different. So
right. I always say, I tell you what your soul wants to hear, not what you want to hear. Right?
That's the biggest thing. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing that's the other thing people don't realize is the fact, like you said, it's what you need to hear, what you need to know, not what you want to know.
Exactly. Amen.
As again, Shanna, as part of your toolkit, basically what's in your toolbox, basically, is there any sensory areas you'd like to work with or try and develop or take on board on learning moving forwards?
Oh, I'm always learning and growing. Always learning and growing.
You never ever stop learning. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing it for. You never ever stop learning. Well, we're always saying this. Every day's a school day, literally. But we always say it all the time. Quite often when we're chatting to people like yourself.
Right. And I'm always learning different parts of my gifts as well. You know, as soon as you think that they're really strong, all of a sudden there's another piece that comes in. You're like, wow, okay, that's awesome. But I now feel like confident in a place where I feel confident to, you know, now work as a psychic medium. It took me a long, long time, though, to get here, especially publicly. You know, I would offer stuff for, you know, to my friends just naturally, but to be able to step out of that spiritual closet, in a sense, was a huge deal for me. And it took me a long time. So, but I'm doing it.
So where you are now, do you feel that you would have stepped out a lot earlier, knowing now where you're up to now? Do you feel confidence-wise as well?
Would I have stepped out of
a lot quicker as you were younger than that? Do you feel like where you are now, if you learnt again that scenario of I'm gonna not hide it as much, I'll step forwards with it a little bit more earlier?
Yes, I have been able. I mean, there's so much healing and there's so much growth that came with me being able to embrace and accept my spiritual gifts. When I did not accept them, my life felt like it was in chaos. I'm a survivor of abuse. And so earlier parts of my life, you know, I really struggled with healing from that. And so a big part of my journey was a healing journey. And my healing journey ended up becoming my spiritual journey. And I tell you, this was the missing puzzle piece of my life. This is my saving grace, to be able to accept and embrace my gifts. And this all has been my saving grace. That anxiety, that depression, all that really lifted. You know, of course, it comes here time to time or whatever, but it's not anything like it was. My saving grace was being able to learn and understand my spiritual gifts. If what I know now, I would have done this many years ago. I wouldn't have been so afraid to open those doors.
That's excellent. That's where I was really coming from with that. Fantastic.
We got another question from in the comments. In your opinion, do inanimate objects absorb person's energy? And is this why some spirits are locked in a place? I guess I mean, are spirits stuck in a place, or can they travel with you guys?
Yes.
So that's a couple of questions there, all in one.
Right. I know. Like, let me look at the first one. So the objects absorb.
Firstly, inanimate objects absorb people's energy. Everything is energy. Everything around you is energy. So in answer to that question, yes.
Yes, everything is energy. Everything holds energy. And when we can understand energy and how it works, oh, wow. Yes, objects. I have a friend, I have a friend of mine that is a haunted artifact collector. And I tell you, you want to walk into his place and touch some things, you will feel the energy. You'll feel the energy. And why there's so many, like when people do, say, paranormal investigations, you know, there's haunted dolls, you know, that doll was probably really loved once, or maybe it was a security doll, you know, security for that doll. But that energy stays in there. Now, can we absorb that energy? We sure can. We sure can. Like anything, we need to protect. I'm a big believer on protecting my energy every single day. It becomes a daily habit. It's a way of life. But energy, dark energy, it can definitely affect you in objects. Yes.
Okay, and the other part of the question, the spirit's stuck in a place, or can they travel with you? I don't believe they're stuck. They have free will. You have free will just as much when you pass as what you do when you're in the physical body. To me, it makes no difference in the physical or in the spirit body. Either or, you still have free will.
I agree with you.
Opinions?
I agree with you on that.
What about you, Gary?
Yeah, just basically, I'm just reading my next question down on the line, and just basically, as again, to me, a lot of it relates to the soul of the energy as well, if it needs to move on or if it's going to reside there as well. So a lot of the energies do reside, and to me, they can follow you from here, there, and everywhere, or meet up prior to going to a location, or who you're supposed to be around or picking up on is meant to unfold on that day as well. So no 2 days are the same. I always find around spirits and energies and communication. So it's like the day unfold and see what we deal with as well. So again, just going to a different location or town or place, you're getting information sometimes prior before you've gone there, and it can be weeks, it can be days, it could be months. It's just, it is endless of what we come across and deal with, like yourself. Quick question on going back to the paranormal investigating. Can you give us some more insights to some of your interesting places? Are there great places locally? Have you been out lately? Or obviously we're just coming out of a lockdown. What's the situation where you are?
I know I'm missing the investigations. I tell you, I'm missing being able to get with my people and do these things. So this year the last investigation I was able to do was not this past Halloween, but the Halloween before was my big last investigation. And that was at a place called the Palmer House. It's here in Minnesota. And it's just a historic old hotel. And that was a really great place. I actually caught a picture of an apparition. Wow. Which was really cool. I was not expecting that. When I go into paranormal investigations, I have very little expectations. Whatever happens, happens. But that was a heck of a catch. I love them. That's how, doing paranormal investigations, that is how I also was able to practice my own gifts and abilities. So let's see, 4 or 5 years ago, I think it was, I went on a 17-day trip with 4 other people, and we went across the state, and we went to Waverly Sanitarium, which, oh, my heart, I need to go back there. Have you two ever been there by chance? Okay, no. It's in Kentucky. That place is an old hospital, tuberculosis hospital. And right. When I was a kid, I remember seeing a documentary on this, and I said one day, I'm gonna go there. And so when I actually got the opportunity to go there, it was flipping amazing. No, this was more than 4 or 5 years ago. This is a while ago now. But I was still at this stage of my life where, because I'm always a skeptic first, so I was still at this point of my life where I still need evidence. I still need to prove. So that was a 17-day trip. And I tell you, no more questioning. No more questioning. We went to Bob Mackey's, which is also in Kentucky. It's an old cowboy bar. Yep. Had no experiences there for us. They didn't want to show up there that night, but it was a neat place. But the one place that got me that is not well known, it's in Decatur, Illinois. And it was an old warehouse. And we had such an amazing experience where we were able to help a ghost spirit that was stuck there. And we were able to, be able to free him. And it was amazing, amazing experience. Once again, I wasn't expecting anything at that place, but that place for some reason it was one of those places that definitely made me a believer. So I did Waverly, that place, Bob Mackey's, Ohio State Prison. That place was amazing. Amazing. From when we stepped in those doors, yeah, it was amazing. And then we got an opportunity to investigate with like Steve Gonzalez from Ghost Hunters and Amy Broom, and those guys. And so that was really amazing. Oh, Chip Coffey. Love you, Chip. Chip Coffee is amazing. To be able to, he took me aside at Ohio State Prison and took me aside, and to be able to watch him work in person and like be able to watch him, observe him, was so magical for me, because it really showed me how I work as well, like very similar ways that he works, which I work. And I thought that was just absolutely amazing. So to be able to also investigate and have these experiences with some of the people, like the professionals in the field that I truly am inspired by, was amazing. Because once again, for me, it validates, wow, you know, this stuff is really happening and I do have these abilities. Wow.
It's just confirmation all the time, isn't it?
Confirmation all the time. And I love doing paranormal investigations. I don't know, it just feeds my soul, and I do miss them. I can't wait to get back to them once, you know, things settle here.
I mean, as you was talking about the investigations at the start, where you mentioned Pond House, I could visually see a spirit energy linking in there as well. So I started linking into that building, even though I've not been there. Right. I've seen some chap with no teeth. And then as you was talking about 1950s and the TB, and well, TB to me was a lot around the 1950s era, wasn't it? Mainly,
yes,
if I'm correct. And I just kept seeing little images of that period as well. So as you're talking along, it's like energies are just building around you.
That's how it happens for me too. I'm so glad that you said that. That's how it happens to me. So when people start speaking, right, it's almost like you're brought there.
Tuning in, yeah, you're getting the link that's coming from that building and the energy around you, because you've been in that location as well. You're linking in as well. I don't mean to link in, and I'm not draining you or nothing. Fantastic.
We've
it's all right. I'm just saying about the ancestral healing. Could you explain a little bit about that to the viewers?
So the ancestral healing part, which is a big part, you know, connecting with so for me, a big part of ancestral healing is being able to go within yourself. All that we seek healing, all of it is within ourselves. And so the ancestral healing is connecting to our ancestors. They are here, you know, like our guides. They're here to help us heal and grow and lead you to your purpose even. So that ancestral healing, and not only for us, but when we start looking into ancestral healing, not only are we healing what we need to in this lifetime, we're also healing that family line and that dynamic. Now, I come from a history of abuse within my family. So I feel like in my family, I was the one to break that silence, and it stops with me. So that ancestral healing part has been a huge, huge, huge part of so much for me. And that's what I've been practicing now or working with about four years now, the ancestral healing part. Yes, there's so much good. And I teach on this. I mentor on this stuff.
Excellent as well. I have a family member, like a granddad figure, but a very small figure in like an RAF uniform. I see black and white with spirit, or a grey uniform, so it's hard to describe, but he's not turned round and faced me yet. So I don't know how far back he's going. So hopefully over the next few weeks or months, then that'll tie in sometimes with what you've just discussed. So again, there's always a time and a place, I feel. So maybe that ancestral side is it, to do a little bit of work for myself and see if I can connect with that energy in the spirit.
Oh, it's so powerful when we're able to. Yes.
We've got a few more questions. I was going to ask you about that in a moment, but Gary beat me to it. So I was thinking it, and then you asked it, and I thought I'll hold on to it and just wait, and I'll ask these questions first from the viewers. But you beat me to it anyway. We've got. I want to try and get through the viewers' questions, because we've got a lot of our own as well, but I don't want to lose the viewers' questions in the comments here. Dave, going back to the paranormal, Dave wants to know, what has been your best paranormal experience that you've had?
Oh, to this day. That's a toss-up. It's a toss-up between Waverly and Ohio State Prison. Okay. Those two are really close for me. A lot of personal experiences there for me. A lot of personal experiences. You know, what really makes you become a believer is personal experiences.
Yeah, most definitely.
So I can't just pick one. I got to pick two. Those would be my two.
Yeah, that's fine. You can pick as many as you like. Well, as many as you like within reason. Ricky will say, here's a question. How long before you stop second guessing or get away from that am I wrong or right?
Oh, that's a good question. That is one of the hardest ones. That is one of the hardest ones. It took me a long time. It took me a very long time. Even in the beginning of my development, I want to say it took me like 5 years or something like that. It was a long, slow process. But one of the hardest things is to be able to trust in that. And so that took time. It does take time. I can't deny that.
The way the way I found that if anyone's watching and getting similar things coming through for them, I always found it was coming through one corridor, and then I took my own thoughts away from it of what I was thinking. So I dispelled my thoughts and then let more come through with the other side of the corridor come through, is the way that I had to develop moving forwards. Like, so if anyone's in that state of where they're up to as well, if that can help them, then that's fantastic.
And that's a hard one. Like, which one, you know, what's my thoughts and what's other?
Yeah,
those are really hard one.
Difficult, isn't it, when you're trying to decipher to begin with? But then I think you overthink as well, and you allow your thoughts to take over. Like at the beginning, it is really difficult. So everyone's been there. We've all done it, and I think we all have times, on occasions, where we still have that niggle. Sometimes of the am I right, am I wrong sort of thing. But not so much am I right, am I wrong, but more second guessing, I suppose. I think we all kind of get that.
And that's where we go back to trusting our intuition. That intuition is so it's so powerful. If something's telling you something, or if something doesn't feel right, listen to it and ask questions. Ask a lot of questions. Like when I have a question come up, you know, is this my thought? Like, where does this come, or feeling? Is this mine or is it other? Okay, so if I look into my, tune into my guides, I will go in and I will ask, okay, what is this? Is it mine? If I get a no, okay, where is it coming from? Just try to identify where that's coming from. That really helps. And ask a lot of questions. And your guides, they start to become a familiar voice in your head, right? So
you get to know them.
Yeah, the voice is slightly different from mine. It's very similar to my own voice, but it's a little different. So also pay attention to that. What, you know, because that really helps. You know, what you can hear your thought, but then there's another voice that sounds a little bit different. That's your guide. That's your soul.
Okay. That's all right. Chris, thanks for answering, guys. Chris from Haunted Scouts here. My wife has a gift of sense, but she tends to lock it out. She doesn't feel comfortable with it. I do take her to locations with me before we investigate, though, and she can tell me if the energy is dark or friendly. Ah,
so she definitely has the gifts. So what's her resistance? What is she afraid of opening those doors? Like, is she afraid to open those doors? What is she afraid of? That would be my question. Because I was there for a long time. I didn't want to open these doors, and for me, it was the unknown, afraid of the unknown.
Yeah, I totally get that.
But I tell you, when your wife, and thank you for asking these questions, all of you, when your wife can really open this up and not fear it and understand her gifts and abilities, oh my gosh, it's just gonna be mind blowing for her. She's gonna be like, what? Amazed with how much. I feel like she's very empathic. Like, is she very empathic? She picks up on energies. I forgot, I can't hear her.
We're fine now.
I'm waiting for an answer.
I know you do though, don't you? Another question. Have you ever had visions of a place before you have ever gone there? See, now our friend Jolene, she's actually in the comments. She's also one of our colleagues as well, you know, and she has dreams about places before she tends to go to them. Quite often, we've done things online stuff. We did online interviews and things, like I was telling you about the festival that we did last month. And we had somebody okay, I won't say who, but she did an interview with someone. And she was seeing a place, and she was giving them information of the place that she was seeing at the time. And it was all rock solid. It was all confirmed and everything, what she was seeing by this other person. They were really blown away by it. But we also interviewed Daniel Class from the Hinsdale house. And she had dreams of the Hinsdale house. She has done multiple times. So that was quite interesting. When I told him, she's been dreaming about your place. So is that something you've come across in your journey, that you've either visualized places or you've actually had dreams of those places prior to going to them?
Yep. My whole life. But that is a good example of before I go on a paranormal investigation, or I'm doing a house clearing, I will get, and this is a remote viewing, I will get the layout of what their house looks like or the place looks like. Like for the Palmer house, I've never been there before. This was my first time there. So it's always fun for me when I go into a place, because I feel like it's already been mapped out in my head. So when I actually go to a place and see it and it's exactly how it looked, I'm like, how do I know this? How do I know this? So that is called remote viewing. It's also premonition, along with the premonitions, would it be?
Also, as well, with that remote viewing, it's like when you go to a location, you can ask your guide and your team and your thoughts in your head, where do we start now? And they'll go, the basement or the second floor or the attic, blindfold Kaz and let her lead us up there.
Yeah, we've done that more than once. You just put a blindfold. By the way, we're going to do this now. Put a blindfold on me and go, right, lead us to where we need to go next.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a habit of doing that. But but it works.
But we always keep testing each other's and looking for different scenarios around that evening as well, don't we, on the investigations as well?
Yeah. I think you have to, though.
Yeah.
Ricky, that was asking about the second guessing earlier, he said, I'm beginning to stop second guessing myself, but sometimes could do with clarification, which is right. We all need that validation, don't we?
Yes. And while having these conversations, and having people like us, feel free to reach out to me too after this. If anyone has any questions, I'm more than willing to talk about this and answer them. So just putting that out there. But yeah, always, and trust in yourself, and trust in those feelings. That trust is the hardest part sometimes.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things.
It is.
Jess says, do you go to a psychic?
I do. I have, well, my earth angel, I call Vaughn. I do. I'm surrounded by psychic mediums and amazing women, and men as well, but I am surrounded by them. And I have one in particular that I do go to, and that's my mentor. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Does ancestral healing also involve past life connections? Because I have been dealing with a haunting which involves a music box, and I'm now wondering if there is so much more to it than just an object.
Ooh, good question. I would say, if you want, reach out to me after, and let's talk about this, if that's okay, because I would love to. Yeah, I could go deeper with you on this, because I have a few questions.
Excellent. So that comes back and forth, doesn't it, as you're working and out where they're up to and what they need to look at, and direction for them as well with the questions that they're asking you.
I want to make sure that I get it right. Mm-hmm.
Can you explain any type of the shadow work that you do, or the shamanistic work that you do as well for the viewers?
The shamanic and the shadow and the ancestral work all is hand in hand. So I really practice the indigenous side of healing and that kind of stuff. So shadow work, ancestral, that all like lines up. So shadow work is those things that those dark parts of ourselves that we may not want to look at, right? But those are the parts that we need to look at in order to heal and to thrive and to grow in our lives. So shadow work is, I'll use myself as an example. Abuse. I have that background of abuse. So that was my shadow work, is having to go through that and look at it. It's about acknowledging what had happened, and lifting. So once you're able to acknowledge that, And shadow work, it is not for the faint of heart. It really isn't. It's so worth it. It's so 100% worth it in a million ways, but it's like there's so much resistance towards it because people, don't always want to be able to have to go to those places. But in order for us to really heal, grow, and thrive, we have to be able to go to those dark places of our souls. And we do. And when I say dark place of our soul, that's not a bad thing. Those are just things that need to be acknowledged. Those blocks, those chakra blocks.
Yeah, that's the thing I was going to ask you about the shadow work. Can it unblock things that you didn't even know were blocked, like with your chakra? Like you said, because if you have got blockages, but you don't know what the block is, you can't fix it or work on it.
I always like to say, if someone's having one of them type of days, or they're frustrated, balance and cleanse and restart again from a little bit of a 10-minute meditation, and then move forward as well. So sometimes when people come to you, you'll just say, well, go and have a 10-minute meditation, balance and cleanse, and come back and see how you feel, and then we can pick it up from there as well. And usually 9 times out of 10, there's so much weight come off the shoulders as well.
So much. We don't realize, throughout our lives, how much baggage and weight we really carry, all that energetic debris, that lower vibrational energy that gets stuck within our auras. And our energy work, shamanic work, all that is lifting all this, all that was put on, it's lifting all that and freeing yourselves. And when you can do it, I tell you, it is life-changing. You feel so much lighter, and you just feel all around, you feel so much better. So when I do energy work, I don't just use my mind. I actually use my hands, and I actually do. If people are familiar with Reiki, how you lay it. Yep. So I don't only just do my psychic medium, but I also incorporate energy work with all of this, which makes it powerful.
Yeah, I'm a Reiki practitioner as well.
Yeah, same here.
Yep. So it's just a form of energy work, is what it is.
It's just energy work. But with the shadow work and the ancestral work, could you have something in your ancestry which is causing you a blockage in why you can't open up spiritually for some reason or another? Can it lead back to so much as past lives and so on, in your opinion?
I believe it can. I believe it. I can. Now, I'm not a past life person, but I know people that can do that. I can go a little bit with past lives, but I'm just not the past life person. I'm like, I have someone for that. But I do believe that is all interconnected. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, right, okay. Because sometimes people have a block, but they don't know necessarily what that block is, or they can't think of anything that's happened within their life that can cause that. So possibly,
I always say, look back on your life. If you look back on your life, if you can look at a part in your life that something happened, it shifted something in your life, something happened.
And then again,
what was that?
Sorry, carry on.
No, yeah. So something happened. So what is it, that part in your life that shifted your life? Okay. For me, it was abuse. Maybe for someone else, it was a loss of someone. But every time something traumatic happens in our life, that leaves residual energy within us. And when those things aren't healed or even acknowledged or dealt with, that really weighs on it's like poison, like abuse. It's a poison of our soul. And when those things are not acknowledged and healed and looked at, it could wreak havoc into your life. And why energy work and all these things that we do is so incredibly important for true soul healing and to be able to free yourself.
Where we was talking,
yourself from your mind.
Where we was talking earlier about the lockdown and all that, moving forwards, do you find that this current year you've had more house clearances or energy clearings, or a lot more is going on with people picking up on the senses of what's going on around them because they're in their own environment a lot more? Can you give us any nice experiences you've had with any house clearance or spiritual clearance?
I have. I can always tell when the universal energies are out of whack, which has been this whole year, right? Because it seems like that's when people really start kind of losing it in a sense. And it's been up. Business has definitely been up, or people reaching out has definitely been up. Yes, I've been noticing a lot of the universal energies. I mean, there's so much at us right now going on beyond this virus, the uprise in the race. Like, there's so much happening right now. And for someone like me, I have always been very much an introvert, and like sanctuary is my home. So for me at this time, like, I'm in a place where I've done this before, so I feel really good about things. But being able to see others that are like, out of their mind right now, or feeling out of their mind, it's definitely been busier. Yeah, there's a lot going on. There really is. And we're all feeling it. I don't care who you are. We're all feeling it in some form, in some ways.
Yeah, I believe that. We've got a few more comments and questions. Just as I've been, yes, she has. I've been scratched and marked on a few occasions. This is on investigation. So what does this mean? She's been to I feel like she's been to 2 locations with us on 2 separate occasions, and both times she's been scratched.
Ooh. Now, are they like 3 scratches or just one? Is it 3?
3.
Okay. And these were 2 different locations that this
2
person
different
was
locations. There were some people at both locations, both times. But yeah, there were 2 different locations.
One was on the back of the neck, wasn't it?
Yeah, one was, yeah. There were 2 different locations, and they were also on 2 different places on her body as well. So one on her neck, and I think her neck and her back.
Okay, so that would be more of a dark energy entity. How did she feel afterwards? How did you feel afterwards getting these scratches? Did you feel any different, like mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually?
We get
I don't know if you can ask that question.
That's all right.
Okay, Shanna.
That seems more of, I hate to use the word demonic, but that seems more of a dark energy entity. When you get scratches like that, that's a dark energy entity. And I would recommend, if there's a psychic medium in your area, if you are having problems after this, it doesn't hurt to help, to go find a professional that could help you with this. Because sometimes when we go into these locations, and that's one part about going into paranormal investigations, we never know what we're walking into.
No.
And when there's darker energy, they can wreak havoc in our lives when you leave. So when you get marked, you just got, I guess you were just the lucky person that got marked there. But
yeah,
really
pay attention. But sorry, both locations have got dark. There is a particular dark energy at both these locations, because both the locations that happened, our team's actually been there before to both of them, so we are aware. We are aware of that. Jess said she just gets a sense of fear and shock when after she's had the experience.
Yeah. And then you're able to shake that energy off after.
What I ask if the people are with us on our investigations is I ask my guide and my team to make sure that their energies reside back there once they're 10 foot off the property.
I always say, you cannot come home with me. You need to stay. Yep.
Yeah. As yourself,
but just watch anytime something like that happens. Really watch, your physical, your emotional, your spiritual. How is it affecting you? And sometimes we don't always know. I've seen these type of things really affect people where they can go into a deep depression or worse. So just kind of watch for that. Yeah.
Have you come across any physical attacks yourself?
I've had a couple. I have been scratched, and I was choked. Once. Wow. That was really unnerving. Yeah, I could physically feel it was like man hands around my neck, and it pushed me back. So that was, for me, one of the more vicious attacks I've ever experienced. Now, I feel a lot of energy a lot. I get goosebumps a lot, the chills. But a physical attack, I've been scratched once. But that being choked, I have been pushed. I almost was pushed downstairs once. That's also a very weird feeling. When there's no one there, and then, you feel that, it's definitely unnerving. I don't care who you are.
we learn from that. We wrap ourselves up in different ways then, don't we? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had a few little sprites that came along and just took the top energy, and I went down 10 steps of flights of stairs, and I bust my hand that day, and I twisted all my ankle as well, which was okay. That's very painful, but that was 4 years ago, I think, last week. How would you explain to anybody in any steps with the development that they could connect intuition or meditation or listening? What would your development side of it to help somebody that's watching on now? What would you say to them as a guidance to help them
to be able to
connect and listen with their guides and their team and
practice, lots of practice, and find someone like me, someone like you guys that knows, that can help walk you through it. We need someone to be able to help us navigate through this and learn. So what I do in my mentoring is I break it down for people, like intuition. What's empath? I break all these things down and I teach you how to live this way. But there's so much involved. But the first part to start is you got to be able to quiet your mind.
Yeah.
You got to be able to quiet your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Get rid of all the outside noise and tune into yourself. That is a great place to start. Guided meditations. That's a great place to start as well. Guided meditations. Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is completely the opposite to anything we've already been talking about. But Teresa says, can you tell me more about an incubus?
Ooh. You know, I don't, I mean, I know a little bit, but I don't know enough to give you a good definition, or, you know, that's not, yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah, I have come across a few.
Have you? I have not yet that I know of.
I don't wish to.
No, neither do I. That's why I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to talk about it. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I've got some recordings actually of one communicating back with me, which next time I go down to the lovely Karen's there and Eddie's, and I've not actually played them to anybody. But again, it's a learning curve. There's always a time and a place, so I might just get them out in the open, and then I put that little bit of past behind me with that certain situation of that popping into another male person I was with as well, which is quite what you're doing here. You know, you need to back off. Do you know what I mean? That wasn't the right time and place.
Dave says that he's seen shadow people before, and Jess says, you answering your question after the scratching, she said that Dave, which is her partner, usually notices that she's not herself at times at locations, and he said he can see it in my eyes, and sometimes in photos I look different. That's what she said, but she is very sensitive. She just doesn't.
I just got chills when you were reading that, and that's why I'd asked how she felt after. So thank you for that. Yep. Those things can mess with us. You know, darker energies, they can influence us. That's why we got to be very, very careful. Very careful.
It looks like as well that they might want to develop a little bit more of transfiguration for you and develop more with your receiving a little bit more. But again, there's always a time and a place. So again, get to some development classes and work with people out there.
Yeah, and anytime you go, before you go into a paranormal investigation and after, and I'm sure you all know, you always go in with protecting yourself and your team. And then before you leave, I always do, a protection as well, and make sure that nothing comes home with myself or anyone else on my team. That's so important to make sure that we have those in place. So when we do leave, you know, that paranormal, you're able to go home and you're going to be okay.
Yeah. Moving on, Adi says, question for you all. Have you ever met someone for the first time and feel like you already know them? Yes.
All the time. Yes.
Million times
more now
over.
in my life. But yes, it's like your soul family starts coming into your life and you start finding each other. And I believe that has to do with a past life connection, those things. You know, when you meet someone, it's very rare that you find those connections, but when you do, it means something.
Definitely.
In and around with the third eye, or helping others progress as well as you developing somebody. I always would you say once somebody's experienced it, they run away with it and they just want more and more and more and more, too quick. Whereas I'll say to people, slow down, come back and see me with 10 to 14 days. You just have a little bit of an experience and then close them down.
Yeah.
But then again, you can go again. There's different stages for people, I find. How have you found that with people that you've helped open their mind's eye or the third eye, basically? What would you say to them?
You gotta slow. I know once we open these doors, we want to experience all this and so much, but we don't realize when we open these doors, all the energies and how they affect you. So when we open these doors, like with ascension symptoms, it could really feel overwhelming. Mm-hmm. So I say, pace yourself. Pace yourself. When I work with people, I literally will go over sometimes the same material over and over. I was like, I know you're not going to understand what I'm saying now, but one day you will. But we got to pace ourselves. When I start working with people, one week we'll be working, let's say we're working on empath. So we're working on empath that week. Okay. Open that up. Now I'm going to allow that person time to process. So like you said, about 14 days, it really depends on the individual. But if I feel like that person's ready to move forward, then we can move forward. But if you start opening these doors and rushing and just throwing yourself into it full-heartedly, you're going to find some problems with that. So it's so important to take your time and learn in a proper and safe way.
Janice says, I've been pushed, scratched, tripped over, but got apologies after.
Oh,
experiences.
Sometimes they just want, it's when someone like us comes around, they're like, oh my gosh, you can see her, you can hear me, you can feel me, or you can sense me something. So when those things happen, it's just sometimes they just want to tell you that they're there, just to acknowledge that, hey, I'm here. Sometimes they don't mean to push you in like a mean way. Maybe it's just trying to get your attention. That happens often.
Dave says, I've experienced a negative energy a few months ago at a location that caused a deep depression that lasted around 4 days. My most frightening experience, he says.
Oh,
yeah, he's talked to me. We've had this, we've chatted about this.
It can be a suppressive energy as well, can't it? As well, so you need to shake that off. And I was trying to explain to people: put it down the plug hole, shower, bathe, visualize it going away from your aura.
Yes. And water is so healing, and it helps eliminate that water. Another thing that I do is if I'm out and about and I don't have water, like say I'm out, what I'll do is I will just take my hands, I'll rub them together really quickly, and then I will just start brushing away energy. So I will just start brushing away energy until it starts feeling lighter. But those things, like, once again, they can influence our minds. And when you're dealing with darker energies, sometimes it takes us a little bit longer to, get rid of those energies. I had an experience. I investigated a demonic house, and I had no idea the toll that would take. It took me a month to purge that energy, a month. And I felt like I was doing everything. And I finally went to my psychic medium, and she was able to help rid the rest of that energy. But it took me a month to rid that. So once again, when we're dealing with darker energies, they can influence us, and why it's so important to make sure you ground yourself, protect yourself, and clear that energy.
I always find I'll carry a sapphire crystal for that, and that there's like an asteroid type of thing, but that crystal is only a couple of places around the world that it can be found, but that really does help with the your aura as well, with the amount of weighted energy that a suppressive energy can put on you as well.
Yes. No, we really have a dark history. A lot of these places have dark history, and we feel it.
Yeah, people don't realize, do they? Maureen, on a bit of a lighter note, Maureen says, do you think deceased parents wait for their children to join them over the other side?
Oh, absolutely. I believe that 100%.
Yeah, same.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And they see all that we're doing here while we're still on this earth. One thing that I got out of my near-death experience is what our loved ones want us to know is that they don't want us to be sad for their loss. They want us to be able to go in our lives and still live and be happy. And when we think of them, celebrate their name. Don't be sad about it. You know, they don't want us to be living on this world sad because they're no longer with us. They want us to live. And like our ancestors, they want us to live. They want us to grow. They want us to thrive, heal what we need to heal in this lifetime.
We only get one life. We get one shot. Live life to the max. Live it. And I always say you're a long time dead. So this period that we've got on this plane, enjoy it to the max. But definitely, over your experiences in the past, from where you are then to now, I will always put out loads of love and white light on certain situations. Are you a big believer in karma? I
am a big believer in karma. And I love how you said, light. I work in the light. I like working in the light. I say work in the light, stay in the light.
Yeah.
So like you, I'm always, thinking about that light energy, and then that violet light energy as well, protection.
Teresa's asking, what do you do to do a house cleanse?
What do I do?
Yeah. What do you use to do a house cleanse?
Once again, really depends on the house. If it's
and
just
it depends on what you're clearing, because you're clearing, because that yet again that makes a difference. You don't always use the same thing for, you don't use the same thing for everything, do you? So
well, sometimes you've got to work out if that energy is portraying itself as something else that it isn't as well. And then you've got to work with your team, your trust, your gut intuition as well with that to break them barriers down and work out where they're coming from as well. They could be gone out when you've gone round, or if you're doing it remotely from distance, they go, I know you're going to try and link in, so we'll stay away for a week or two. And then so sometimes they play a lot of games as well, which people don't understand.
We had that recently. Someone reached out to me, somebody that was going to do a house cleanse, and they reached out to me, and from what they told me, I was like, no, I don't believe that for a second. What they think they're experiencing, what they think that is, it isn't. I then spoke to Gary, and straight away he said what I'd already worked out for myself. And then friend of ours, Bex, she went in, and she went in before they did. And she said exactly that. She basically came back with the same as what we'd already said. So this person thought it was a kind energy, it was a positive energy, but it couldn't have been any further from the truth to what it actually was. And they were welcoming it because it was portraying to be something it wasn't. Which people don't realise. They say, oh yeah, you're welcome in my house, you can stay and everything else, but you don't know you know what you're welcoming, and you don't know what you're saying can stay. It might be portrayed itself to you as one thing, but it could be something totally different. You just don't know.
Very true. They can be tricksters and pranksters. They really can.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm.
I've just learned something again from myself tonight, even just reading back up on my own development notes. So there's like the 7 senses that we basically use. There's actually Claire tasting as well, where people get the smell. There's actually a taste. So I will always ask people to try and develop their 6th sense and push themselves to say, well, I'm okay with hearing, or I'm okay with seeing. Well, ask your guide and your team to give you that certain situation within your team, and you lock it again. So again, the knowledge is it's never ending. It's just never ending. And sometimes we even forget and then go back to basics and move forward again. I just see so many things there, and it's just like, oh, I've learned that again today. I've learned that again. It's just amazing. But I'll ask for that now on the next investigation. Oh, can somebody give an expression of somebody tasting something that they might not like fish, or they might not like oranges or something, or just give us a sensuous smell or a taste for somebody as well, developing on their skills.
Yeah, or a favourite food or something. I've had that before. I've had that before. I'm like, I can taste whatever it was. And I was like, that's just weird, and didn't really register at the time. I was like, why am I taking that's very odd.
Very. I've had that happen to me years ago. I had a taste of sardines in my mouth, and I do not eat sardines. I'm like, what the heck is this?
Thank you.
Like, yeah, I'm like, what is this? Oh, my grandfather. Okay. Or like the smell. My ex grandmother-in-law, she used to wear this lavender, like this old lavender perfume. Well, when she comes to visit, that's the first thing I smell. So that's how I know it's her when she shows up, because of that, lavender, really strong perfume.
Just going back, Maureen, I'm just going to put this up, bless her. She said, thank you. I know my parents are okay now, but it's reassuring to know that I will meet them again. My mother died when I was 4, so thank you for that. Oh, bless her.
Oh, I just got chills. Hugs, hugs, hugs.
Yeah.
It's
literally just, I had to.
Oh, I just got chills. Just like, hug.
Yeah.
Our loved ones, even though she passed when you were very young, my father passed when I was 1 year old. I never got the opportunity to know him in this life, but he has been with me this whole time. He is one of my guides. He was also a shaman, come to find out. So all these pieces. But I tell you, anytime that we have any big family gatherings, like we get married or there's a birth of a child, our loved ones are there witnessing that. They're with us in all those moments. So know that even though she passed away when you were 4 years old, she's been with you and a guide for you, like an angel, this whole time. And she's with you.
She was showing me a ruby ring as you was reading the question out. I just got ruby. I've seen the colour ruby. And again, to me, they always call that leaky mediumship because it's always a little snippet, but there's no add-on to it as well. So sometimes you've got to hold back and get some more communication, give me some more information so I can pass on. But all I kept getting then was ruby and a ring.
Zara says, understand that had spirit here hiding and playing games, but caused a lot of harm and blockage in my life. So then there's a lady that comes and smells of baby talc that goes to her house. It's interesting.
Yeah.
So, Shanna, is there anything we were chatting earlier about spiritual entrepreneur and so on? You've got different things coming up in the new year, haven't you? So can we just touch on those before we go? Because time's running away with us. So I want to touch on that and learn more about that and let everybody else know about it as well.
Yeah, there's just been an uprise, and I know a lot of people maybe stepping into there's, or they realize they have these gifts and abilities. But what we're seeing here is an uprise and spiritual entrepreneurs wanting to come out. They don't know where to start. Like, where do we start? What do we do? Well, I'm offering a program for spiritual entrepreneurs with my partner, Gigi Basong. She's amazing. So she teaches more of the tech side of things, and I teach more of like the self-love and more of the spiritual guidance development side. So it's pretty awesome to check out. But with the popularity that we've seen, thank God for our, the paranormal shows like Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures, really them paving the way for people like myself, for you, for all of us to be able to come and step into what we were meant to do. I know for me, I was not meant for your, your traditional jobs. I realize that now. So I see a lot of people like really, realizing they have these gifts, but they want to do something with this. So we're offering really like to get started. Like, what do you do? How do you get started with all this? It's pretty exciting. But I have seen a rise in people wanting to step in and become spiritual entrepreneurs. So I thought, what a great time to be able to offer something like this. I've been doing this for about 10 years now. We've done so much, and there's been a lot of failures and so much along the way, but all of it's learning and growing, and it's exciting. And we really do. It's so nice to have other people that can help you navigate through all this, because we've been through it all.
And you're going to be coming on to our psychic and spiritual segment on a Thursday evening next year now, isn't it? I think it's next year. I'm sure it's next year. But the date will go up in the Keep On Chatting group. So Shanna will be coming back, but rather than doing an interview, she will be sharing and offering her gifts to you. So those of you that don't know, that don't normally follow this page or follow us, every Thursday we have a different reader on that reads, like we were explaining earlier, in their own way, in their own different way. It's completely free. You haven't got to pay anything or make a donation or anything. If you want to make a donation to charity, make a donation to charity if it makes you feel better. But we don't actually charge for that. So every Thursday night, we have the psychic and spiritual segment on Keep On Chatting, where, like I said, we have a different reader every week. Shanna will be one of our readers next year. I will be popping that date on here for you. But time has literally ran away with us, so you're going to have to come back on another occasion, obviously, not just to do the readings for us, but we'll have to get you back on to have another chat as well, because I'm sure there's so much more we can learn from you and we can teach other people out there. So I'm going to say thank you for joining us. Stay where you are, don't go just yet. And if you stay in the background there, I just want to say thank you for joining us.
And thank you for joining us. And Karen will put any links on there for you where people can contact you as well. So again, just keep watching the page and all that. Facebook, Instagram, and your websites. We'll put all that out there for you as well. And look forward to the new year.
Yeah, we will do. So thank you for joining us, Shanna. Thank you for joining me, Gary.
Pleasure as always.
It's bye from Shanna, bye from Gary. Okay, but just before we go, I just want to let you all know that starting next Thursday, like I was just explaining then, we will be having a different reader every single week for you. Some are from the UK, some are from America, like Shanna there herself. They are from all over the place. They will be reading in different ways. It will be at 7 o'clock every Thursday night. On the psychic and spiritual segment on Keep On Chatting. It will not be streamed to multiple pages. Only the interviews will be streamed to multiple pages. But due to a lot of scammers and the issues that we've had with the spamming situation, people trying to con money out of people that are commenting, we have now taken the decision to only offer the readings in the Keep On Chatting group. So if you've been watching this evening via one of the pages, please become a member of the Keep On Chatting group. Then you will be able to join in with the readings on a Thursday night. Next Thursday, we have Tarot Tracy. She will be joining us next Thursday at 7 p.m. But prior to that, coming back to this show, on Sunday evening at 8:45, Gary and myself, you have the both of us yet again, and we will be interviewing George and Cara Shoplin, which I cannot wait to talk to them. I know that you guys are all going to have lots of questions for them, but that is at the later time of 8:45. It is on the events on all of the pages. So I just want to say thank you all for joining us. It's very much appreciated. Thank you all for your time. All please take care, and we will see you and speak to you very soon. Thank you all and good night.